Hello, everyone. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate World Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Our mantra is to educate, enlighten, and entertain. The views of the guest may not represent those of the host of the station. Folks, I just want to say that my guest today is so phenomenal. My heart goes out to her. And on Chatting with Betsy, if people get emotional, because I might get emotional today, that's okay. I don't apologize for who I am. I want my guests to be comfortable. I want them to be genuine, authentic, and that's what we have here on Chatting with Betsy, authentic conversations. And I will always comfort my guest. And if, the topic is emotional, that's the way it is. So I want you all to know it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to cry. We need to validate our feelings. And with me today is such a phenomenal person, Adrienne Bender. She is a psychiatric nurse. She has a bachelor's degree in nursing. She is a grief recovery specialist. She's an entrepreneur. She's a speaker. She's a children's mental health therapist. And she is writer and author of the book, The Almost Miracle Years, A Mother's Journey of Hope and Resilience During Her Children's Struggle with Addiction and Cancer and Her Navigation Through Grief and Loss. And Adrienne was a single mom at the age of 17, and I want to hear her story. Welcome, Adrienne Bender, to Chatting with Betsy.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my story with the world. It has been a pretty wild ride so far.
I can imagine. Well, your story is going to be heard around the world on Passionate World Talk Radio Network. So I find that the personal stories of someone who had a struggle, tragedy, and became victorious, wrote a book or started a business and helping people, that's what people want to hear, Adrienne. They really, as you know, people are struggling. They want to hear, how did people do it? How did you go from point A to point B and doing what you're doing now? But start at the beginning, because I always ask, I get so excited that my brain goes ahead of my mouth, or my mouth goes ahead of my brain. What motivated you to write your book?
Okay, well, I lost my daughter. Well, I had a lot of losses. I lost my daughter at 18 after a very long struggle with cancer, and she died from complications of a stem cell transplant that she had. And then 4 months later, I lost my father. And then I decided to become a grief coach at that point in time. And then the pandemic came, and then I had to take care of my grandfather, and then he passed away. And then ultimately my son passed away in 2023. So, I mean, I was been living the grief journey since 2018, and, I did some unhealthy coping strategies at first, and then just when Kyler died, I just was like, something good has to come out of this experience, because, like, why did I have to go, and why did my children have to suffer so much? Something good has to come of it. And I did initially start writing the book when my daughter first passed away, but then all the other stuff that happened, obviously it got put on hold. And then last summer, I was working a job that wasn't very busy, and I was really focusing on meditating and, trying to figure out who I am now that I'm not a caregiver, now that I'm not a mom anymore. And then it just kind of came to me in a dream, right, to finish writing the book that I had started. So I just wanted the struggles that we all face to be able to teach other people that even when things are really, really hard, that you can still find joy in life. And that's what I did with my kids during their journey. I mean, there were some pretty hard times. We did manage to find joy, as much as we could. So I just wanted to share that message with everyone.
That, excuse me, that is a lot of tremendous loss. And usually, I think when people have such tremendous loss, they do ask themselves, why did this happen? They even feel guilty, even though they shouldn't. And some people do, they self-medicate or they drink to numb the pain instead of getting to the pain. This is the thing that I've discovered in my own journey, Adrienne, is that we have to face the pain. Yeah. And we have to go through that, and it's different for everyone. And I always recommend counseling, sure. Therapy, whatever people want to call it these days. I know it has helped me, tremendously, because you have to get to the source. And I'm very involved with caregivers, family caregivers, and one of their biggest topics or concerns is they second guess themselves. Did I do enough?
Yeah.
I feel guilty. And who am I now? And what do I do now? That just seems to be a common thread. And
for sure. I'm a caregiver since I was 17, right? So, and now I'm not.
Yeah, and that is very difficult. It's like, what do you? I mean, this might sound like a bizarre question, but what do you say to people when they say, "Oh, are you a mom?" Because I think I would say, "Well, I had 2 children." How do you answer that?
I say it's always a thing because people always ask when they meet you, "Do you have kids?" And I say, "Yes, I have 2 kids. Unfortunately, they both have crossed over." But I will always say I'm still a mom. Or I'll say I'm a mom to 2 angel babies.
Yes. Yes. That's what I've heard. That's what my friend says. Yes. And you know that even though they're not here physically, you feel them with you. I can imagine you feel them with you.
And I know Mackenzie's, my daughter's father, he doesn't have that same belief, and I just feel like that's a shame because I do feel like they are living. I just can't see them. I can feel them. I can sense them. I'm sure they send me thoughts or songs or symbols, and that really helps with the grief process to have that belief that it's not just over for them.
Yes, I've gotten signs from my husband, and people could think I'm woo-woo or cuckoo or whatever else they want to think. I know what I saw, and I don't take drugs, so I know I was not hallucinating because I don't take drugs, except I take medication for my migraine, but that doesn't make me hallucinate. And I could feel Matt with me, and one time someone said to me, "Betsy, you talk about Matt like he's still with you, that he's still alive." And I said, well, to me, he is still with me, just in a different way. I very much feel his presence a lot. And I do believe he sends me guests. That guests come my way that he knows that I would be interested in or that he would have liked to have heard or read their book. How did you went through a lot. You were a single mom, to put yourself through college. That is quite an achievement in and of itself, that right there. Yeah. How was that? How did you do that? Because That takes a lot of strength and endurance.
So in hindsight, I was a little bit nuts because, like, I don't know what I was thinking. I could have lived at home with my mom and had, child care and all this, and for some reason I decided to move out on my own. I had a part-time job. I did my university, and then, I met Mackenzie's dad when Kyler was about 2. So I did the single mom for about 2.5 years while I was doing my education, and then I met someone, and then we got married. So the second half, I wasn't a single mom, but the first little bit I was. I don't know how I did it. I think I had this feeling that I didn't want to burden anyone else because I had a baby young, and I just wanted to really give him a good life, and I wanted to get my education so that, we wouldn't be struggling, and so I did it for him, basically.
That is quite an achievement. I mean, and you do look back and you think, how did I ever do that?
Yeah.
I mean, I know I do that myself. Adrienne, I look at it now like I barely could get myself ready for a 10 o'clock appointment. And I don't know how I ever, fed Matt, dressed him, bathroom, did all his care, and got him to a doctor at 10 o'clock. Get myself ready. You have
to. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now I can barely
do
myself. Never mind, like, I was doing meal prep for my grandpa. I was cooking for my boyfriend. I was working full time. I was driving my son to all his appointments. Now I can barely make myself dinner.
Yeah, I understand that. Tell us about your son, Kyler.
Yeah. So Kyler started dabbling with drugs and alcohol when he was quite young. He was about 12. And then it really escalated quickly. It was mostly marijuana and alcohol. And then it got to the point where I knew it was a problem. So I actually quit my job, and I pulled him out of school. I homeschooled him. I got him some therapy. I got him on meds. I basically kept him in a bubble for about 6 months. And then he was doing really well. And then he started his new school to get away from the kids he was hanging out with. And literally the same week he started his new school, his sister got diagnosed with cancer. So, he kind of got put to the back burner when we were in the hospital for 9 months the first time. And then he spiraled a bit. And when she got out and she was in remission, then I focused on him. So then I got him in to go to a rehab program, and he really came out of it and was doing very well. He managed to finish high school, which I didn't think he would. And then once he turned 18, he could buy alcohol legally. And then that's kind of where things took a turn, and he escalated again quite quickly. And then when my husband fled the country and took all our money, Kyler really spiraled. I had to actually ask him to leave the house. And then Mackenzie relapsed right after that. So I mean, he was living.
Oh my.
He was living between, friends' couches, grandparents, kind of floating because we had to move to a different city for her treatment. So he was really not doing well for that period of time. And then when I came back, Mackenzie was still not well. We were still constantly in the ER or on having clinic appointments, and things were always going wrong. And then I went back to work, so I had no choice not to. So, a lot of times both the kids were in 2 different emergency rooms at the same time, and I had to decide which one to go to. And then he did another rehab program right after the pandemic. It was a miracle that he survived to do that program. And then he was doing really well. And then he relapsed with his girlfriend, and she had to do CPR on him. And then that was after Mackenzie and my dad and my grandfather died. I moved. I just bought a new condo, and I said, okay, well, I can't lose both my kids, so you can come home. So I let him move back home, and he did the methadone program, which was it was still dicey. He was still using, and there was a lot of, I had to call the police on him, have him removed from the house, and then he switched treatments. He went to Suboxone, and that was like a miracle. He was sober for like quite a long time. And then he had moved out on his own. I was trying to encourage independence because he was 25, and I always said, you're always welcome to come home. So he would come home on the weekends, and I'd help him with his homework. He started going to college to be an addiction counselor. He was getting straight A's. He was doing well. And then he got jumped by a gang of teenagers on the train here, and then he didn't want to go to the hospital because he doesn't like hospitals, but then he was in a lot of pain. So then a couple of days after the incident, he started going to the hospitals, and they looked up his history, and they kind of brushed him off, like they thought he was just looking for drugs. And then so then the last time he went to the hospital, they sent him home about noon, and he called me and said, I don't know why I'm in so much pain. They sent me home, and then I found out the next day on Facebook that he had passed away.
Oh, my goodness.
His girlfriend, who was bad news, gave him some sweet pill that had fentanyl in it. And then there was also some damage from that beating. But they just kind of, the police, once they see it's drugs, they just kind of, brush it off. It's just drugs. But he did have some evidence of pulmonary edema from that, like 12 people stomped him. So he was,
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
so.
That is, Adrienne, my heart to yours. I can't even imagine finding out about the passing of your child on Facebook, not even a phone call, on Facebook. No. That's just cruel in and of itself. And you would think that, your son got injured by a gang, that they would have done an MRI of his head or CAT scan or something.
Oh, they gave him a outpatient. So when they called to book it, I said, no, he's dead.
Oh, my goodness. I know things are different. You're in Canada than here, in the States, but that is just really tragic. And did you being a psychiatric nurse, did you feel like you were able to be better equipped to support your son, or did you feel like, I can't, this is too close to me, you need to see someone?
Well, he did see people besides me, but when he first came home after that, after that overdose, it was the pandemic. We were in lockdown, so I was babysitting him. I was working from home, and I was, we were spent all day, every day together. So, I don't think he could have had a better parent because, certain things that might rattle people, didn't really rattle me because of my experience.
I asked that because my son was in a group session. He's on the autistic spectrum. And one of the kids' mom was a psychologist. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, well, you really must be able to handle your son, dealing with it because you are a psychologist. She said, no, he unravels my nervous system in 5 minutes. I'm on antidepressants, anti-anxiety. And I said, and I'm not jokingly, but I was like, wow, you know what? Thank you for being honest, because if you need, that support, what does that say for the rest of us who don't have the background? But, everyone's different. Everyone copes differently. And, your son, I'm sure, was affected by his sister's diagnosis. You had to do a very tough balancing act, Adrienne. Your daughter is sick. She's in the hospital. She has cancer. Your son needs attention. and you can't split yourself in two. It's like, who do you go to first?
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That is a tough balancing act, and I want people to realize that when someone has cancer in the family, the whole family is affected. The whole family, it takes a toll on a family. And, you know, how your son dealt with it, you know, he's seeing his sister sick, and everyone handles their emotions and situations differently. That, excuse me, that had to be a tremendously difficult time for you and your family. Seeing your child sick just is like you would trade places with them.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was. Yeah, and my dad was very aggressive, so she was an inpatient for 9 straight months. Like, we would get breaks here and there, but we lived there. So, I mean, it was hard. Right.
How old was your daughter when she was diagnosed?
The first time she was diagnosed, she was 8, and then she was in remission for 5, and then she relapsed when she's 13. 2016,
wow.
She would have been 13 yet. And then she passed away when she was 15.
Wow, that is... And tell us about Mackenzie. What was she like, and how did you find out she had the AML leukemia?
She, so her dad and I had split custody, and she came back from her dad's after a week off, and her dad said something about, she's been snoring, we took her to the dentist, blah, 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 and get a humidifier, and they think she needs her tonsils out, and so I was, you know, it was pretty, she wasn't snoring the week before when she was at my house. So then, and then her arm was really sore, like really sore. Like we went to go visit some friends out of the city, and she said she fell off a bunk bed, and her arm is what she said happened. Her arm is very sore. So I took her to the ER, and the young resident just basically said, take Advil. And then it was about, she was taking so much Advil, her poo was turning blue from the dye, and the kid's Advil. So I thought, well, this is a lot of Advil she's taking. And she's still complaining about this arm, so I took her back to the ER. And then when they started asking questions, when she was pale, her gums were swollen, she had lost some weight, you know, she had the swollen tonsils, and then I kind of added it up. I kind of knew before they, like, because this week on, week off parenting, if you don't see them for a week, next time I see her, she's lost weight, you know. So I kind of knew in my head once the doctor started asking those lines of questions that it was bad, and then we just had to wait for the blood work, and then when they did the blood work, you know, we got admitted that same night.
That is devastating diagnosis, and it just takes such a toll. I can't even imagine, Adrienne. I can imagine, but I can't in a way. If you understand what I'm saying, of watching your child being sick, that had to tear you up inside and out. And that, you know, and just watching them, you know, and watch her die, that, like, how did you deal with that? Because that's an image you can't get out of your head.
Yeah, it's not one. It was actually, so what had happened was she had been getting sicker and sicker, and she tried all these different treatments, and nothing was working. And, you know, we were always in the hospital. We were always in the emerge. There was always something going on. And then she had, and and her body was fighting so hard that she could eat like a grown man and was withering away. She was like about 80 pounds when she passed. The cancer was gone, but it was a graft versus host disease that she had. So then one day we went back to the hospital because her lung had collapsed, and her other lung had collapsed the previous week. And the doctor just said to her, Mackenzie, when kids are as sick as you, sometimes their hearts stop, and do you want us to pound on your chest and stick a tube down your throat? And she said no. So then I called her dad, and we both agreed that she suffered too much, and if that happened, we would let her go. And then she passed away 10 days after that. But she was happy. She was ready to go. Like, people would come to visit her, and she would say, if you're going to cry, get out of here. Like, she was ready. She was, don't worry, Mom. I'll be there. I'll come see you. I'll visit you. I'll let you know it's me. Like, and she was like, thank you so much for supporting me. Like, she suffered so much. So, I mean, it was awful to watch, but at the same point in time, the way she was so okay with it. It's like
Dad had it. Yeah. I understand.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
For someone who was so, like, she loved life. Like, 10 days before she died, she threw a Halloween party for my boyfriend's kids, and she decorated, and she made crafts, and she told them scary stories, and, like, she had such a zest for life. So the fact that she was okay to stop fighting told me how much she was really suffering.
Yeah, you bring up such an important point, Adrienne. Like, even, she was a young adult, 15. I believe all ages, they know. I just believe that they know when their bodies have had enough, and when they don't want to, just keep fighting the disease, and they want to be relieved. And I think that is, to honor their wishes, even as young adults or as children, they know when they've had enough. And sometimes folks, and this might sound harsh, but sometimes, and I'm going to get choked up, you love someone enough to let them go. We want to hang on, but sometimes you have to just love someone enough to let them go. And it's okay to say, I understand and I love you enough to let you go. And,
it was hard. But just how happy she was and how relieved she was that she had our blessing. Like, people would come and say, she's glowing. Like, she looks like she's already got one foot in heaven and the other one on earth. And, she was ready. So you know what, I've heard that before people die, and not in all cases, but some people do get very happy. They almost have like what they call a rally. They had a surge of energy where they do things, and then they go. And that was Mackenzie's rally. I guess she had this party, and she wanted to make people happy, and she wanted to enjoy life as much as she could under the circumstances. That's Mackenzie sounds like she was a very strong young woman. There was something very special. A very feisty, driven, like she was get her learner's permit while she was on her deathbed. Or she was trying to learn Japanese when she was on her deathbed. Like she is so strong and so driven, and at her funeral, people would say, like, I'm a better nurse because of you, I'm a better doctor because of you, I'm a better teacher because of you, because of just how driven she was.
Wow, that says a lot. And, sometimes we ask, why did I have this tragedy? Why did my children have to go through this? Or why did my spouse or whoever it is, why did I have to have so much loss in my life? How did you come to terms with that, Adrienne? Losing, and before I forget, You might have mentioned it. I don't remember. How old was Kyler when he died?
25.
Oh, he was 25. Okay. How did you deal with that and then say, what is my purpose now? I mean, you wrote your book, and that's going to help so many people. You sharing your story is going to help many people because people like to know, like, how did you do that?
Well, I guess Mackenzie got some of her driven from me because, like, Mackenzie passed away. I'm not going to say it was harder, but it was, I did do some unhealthy things. I did eat my feelings. I did drink my feelings. I did gain 50 pounds. Like, I did those things. And then it was like, then my dad died right after that. And then my grandpa died right after that. And then when Kyler died, I was like, I can't self-destruct. I need to do something different. I just need to do something different. I need to do something that will make my kids proud. And so I really put it in my head that I'm not going to fall to those unhealthy ways. And, I'm going to continue to go to the gym, and I'm going to do what I, plan things to look forward to and try and find, the joy in every day and try and honor them and do things that would make them proud. So I guess I was just kind of like, there was so much death and loss, I just thought, like, I can't crawl into a cave. Like, the only family members I have left are my mom and my sister and my nephew. So it's like my whole family's gone. Like, I'm probably going to live another 40 years. I need to enjoy it. Like, I just got stubborn and was like, I mean, how many more can I lose? Like, I have to move on, and I have to enjoy life and just think that my kids are proud of whatever it is I'm doing. And that's kind of how I looked at it at that point.
Yes, I feel, Adrienne, that the best way we can honor our loved ones is to enjoy life and to do something in their memory to honor them. And I have a whole new appreciation for life, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah.
That, life is short. There's no guarantee of your next breath. I don't mean to be morbid here, folks, but that's just reality. Mm-hmm. And now at the age as I'm approaching, God willing, to be 68 in December, I appreciate life so much. My husband was 66 when he died. My brother was 67, and they died a year apart. And I just, you had this new appreciation for life. And I did, Matt died January 1st, 2020, and then, a couple months later we shut down because of COVID. And I was grateful in a way because I was able to stay at home. But it was tough. It was really tough for my son. And, to deal with the grieving, and I felt unjustified guilt for a year, which I shouldn't have. I went for therapy. But you know what I did to self-medicate? I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I did shopping.
Oh.
I had, and folks, that is a way to run away from how you feel. Because I felt like I wanted this comfort, Adrienne. I felt like I just wanted a cocoon, so I bought stuff I didn't need, like pajamas and a new bathrobe or something to make me feel good. Because when I was younger and when I went, very young, went shopping, that's the only time I felt special was when my mom brought me stuff. And I said, Betsy, what are you doing? This is getting out of hand. And I stopped. I realized what I was doing. But I was self-medicating through buying. I mean, I didn't go into debt, thousands of dollars into debt. I didn't do that. But I caught myself. And it's really difficult to, come to that place of, I'm in the situation, I have pain, and I have to deal with it. And it took me, well, 5 years, 4 or 5 years to come to the terms like, you know what, this is my new normal, how I feel. Last year was the first time I was able to enjoy Christmas music. And, you know, holidays are different. I'm sure definitely they are for you. And just to say, you know what, this is my new normal now. This is how I'm going to feel. And now I know it's okay. Because I think a lot of people have problems, Adrienne, with this, I got to fix myself. I'm broken. I shouldn't feel this way. I should feel better by now. But the thing is, the pain of grief is always with us, always will be with us. We just have to learn how to live with it. Do you feel that way?
For sure, 100%. Because, like, I canceled Christmas for a few years. And then, you know, last year, it's just different. It's never going to be what it was. It's just always going to be different.
Right.
And you just have to try to enjoy the difference.
Yes. Yeah, that's for sure. You know, I used to think, well, when am I going to feel better? When's this going to go away? And then I realized, you know, it's not going to go away. And I happened to interview a psychologist who wrote a really great book. You don't have to change everything to be happy. I think it's something like that. And I realized, you know what, you could be happy and sad. You can, you know, the memories of when, you know, coming up to their anniversary date of when they died, memories are going to come up. You're going to feel sad. You may cry, and that is all okay. Because I think, Adrienne, and it really annoys me to no end when people say this, be strong. Don't cry. Be strong. No, we've been strong. You've been strong. And we're human beings, and it's okay to cry. Yeah. It's okay to cry when you think of a memory. You hear a song, you smell a fragrance or something. It's okay. And that's
okay.
Do you have any suggestions of what people should do when they have encountered so much loss as you have to survive, I guess?
So one of my main suggestions is find things to look forward to. And, like, so in the early days with Mackenzie, I would have a to-do list because I was off work for a couple months. I had a to-do list. And it might seem like, you know, like have a shower, go for a walk, find a beautiful flower. Like, it was simple things, but I would write it down in list format and cross it off. And that's kind of, you know, it would be either some days were minute to minute, some days were a few good hours, some days were 1 good hour, but I really made a conscious effort to be present and try and find something in every day that I enjoy. So that's something I did. And then also I just honor them. Like, I honor them. I talk about them. I don't, you know, some people will take the pictures down. I have pictures everywhere. I talk about them. I buy them Christmas stockings, and then I just fill it with goodies that they would like. And then between Christmas and New Year's, I eat them myself. And I just honor, you know, as if they're still here, or, you know, it's their birthday. Like, I take off their death anniversaries and I take off their birthdays. And that's the day I go get a massage and go to their favorite restaurant, and I just honor that, and I'm always going to do that. So I think it's kind of like you almost have 1 foot in the grief life and 1 foot in a normal life, and you kind of have to balance the two. But I do try to enjoy.
Adrienne, I could just hug you. I love that. I love what you just said, because I do the same thing. I honor, like, my anniversary is November 1st. We go out and celebrate. Josh is my son. We go out and celebrate anniversary. I used to buy a cake, but now I just buy like a little small thing, and we sing to Matt happy birthday. And we honor his birthday and Father's Day. Like before my husband died, Josh said, we're going to still celebrate Father's Day. And now Father's Day is very difficult for him. And I said, of course. And that's so beautiful. And I've encouraged people, just like you have, celebrate your anniversary, celebrate their birthdays, honor their memories, keep talking about them. And it's like, people are afraid to mention our loved ones' names because they might upset us. And I'm like, newsflash, we know they're not here. It's not a secret. We know they're gone. You can't fix that. Tell us a story. Tell us what our loved one meant to you. And, if you want, show your pictures on Facebook or whatever your social media platform is and honor them. I love what you're doing. I really do. I think that's great.
And I think more people need to do it.
Yes.
Because people are so awkward about it. You shouldn't be awkward. We all, like, it's,
I've noticed more people doing that. I have Facebook. I've noticed more people, they are doing that. And I don't know if they're doing that because I'm doing it. But, hey, if they're doing it because I'm doing it, I'm glad I inspired them. Because that is like, why can't you? Like, okay, on Mother's Day, what do you do on Mother's Day? I said that's got to be extremely difficult and painful.
Oh, Mother's well, I don't know. This one's going to be different, but I had a friend who would come over every Mother's Day with flowers because she promised Mackenzie she would. But she moved to a different city. So I don't know what I'll do this Mother's Day, but usually my friends take me out or my mom will send me money to get a nice meal, and usually my other friend would come over with flowers, but that'll change because she moved to a different city, so I guess we'll figure it out this year, but I always do something. Someone sends me a gift card, and I'll go out and have Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's what, we go, to the cemetery, and then we go have fun because that's what Matt would have wanted, and to enjoy life. And I just love what you are doing. And Adrienne, you have such strength to you and such a grit, and to share your story, which isn't easy to say. It's not easy to write. That had to be, was it cathartic and painful for you to write your book? Was it both?
It was both, yeah. Yeah, it was both. It was painful and it was also helpful. And then it did build me up a bit because then when I was like, holy smokes, I did all that and I'm still surviving.
Yes. This is so strange. I said this on an interview last week. I usually don't cover the same topic in a short period of time, but I don't know if it's coincidence, karma, and this is what the universe needs to hear. But I've been doing a lot of interviews lately about grieving, addiction, struggling. And I think the world does need to hear people's stories because people are struggling. And it is, people, fentanyl poisoning kills thousands and thousands of people a year. Young people are dying. Cancer kills multitudes, various types. Dealing with illness, dealing with addiction, it's not easy. It's very difficult, and I just want to applaud you, Adrienne Bender, for writing your story, sharing your story, and being so, I say, brave and courageous for doing so. And I applaud you.
Well, thank you very much. I look at it as my life purpose right now, so that's what I'm doing.
Yes, and you know what? You never know who's listening to you, who's going to pick up and read your book. that you will help. Mm-hmm. You really don't know. Where can people purchase your book, Adrienne?
It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Lulu. So Amazon.
And how can people connect with you? Do you have a website?
My website has my email address on it, so just it's adriennebender.com, so first and last name.com.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah. And then, I book is just my first and last name, and they're wide open, so anyone can reach me on there too.
Well, thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming on today, Adrienne, and sharing your story. And I just want to encourage you, keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on telling people your story. And you do have your life purpose, and I'm sure your children are very proud of you for honoring them by telling your story, by telling their story. And that's and I'm sure you're going to keep getting signs from them too. So thank you again so much. Folks, you heard, you're welcome. You heard Adrienne Bender, RN, and all the information about Adrienne Bender will be in the blog that Jeannie White, who's the station manager, writes and produces the show. The name of the book is The Almost Miracle Years, A Mother's Journey of Hope and Resilience During Her Children's Struggle with Addiction and Cancer and Her Navigation Through Grief and Loss. Folks, I highly recommend reading the book and tell someone about Adrienne Bender. Share the show to help other people that you know who lost children due to cancer or due to overdose. And I just want to say, do not judge people. Do not judge people when they go for support. Do not judge people when they have an addiction problem, because it can happen to anyone. Any one of us can fall into that. It's easier than you think. And I just want to encourage people, go for support. Here in New Jersey, in America, if you are having a crisis, call or text 988, the suicide crisis prevention line, mental health line, and somebody will help you. Ask your primary care physician in your area for mental health referrals if you need support. And I encourage everyone, seek support if you need it. There's no shame in that at all. And folks, I always say this, you never know what life has in store for you, and you might need support. And you're going to want people to be supportive of you. So think of that when someone says, I'm going for support. Encourage somebody. Help them. I get emotional. And don't judge them. If they do have to take medication to get over a hump in their life, because nobody is immune. And I always encourage people, subscribe to Chatting with Betsy. It's for free. I'm on Spotify, Spreaker, iHeart, Amazon Music. I want to reach as many people as possible. I want to help as many people as possible. And I want to thank Lillian Caldwell, who's CEO of Pastoral Talk Radio Network, who makes this all possible. And thank you again, listeners, for listening, subscribing. And you can also program, if you have Alexa, you can program it to Chatting with Betsy. And you can follow me on Facebook, Betsy E. Wurzel, W-R-Z-E-L. And as I always say at the end of my show, in a world where you could be anything, please be kind and shine your light bright, because we need it now more than ever before. So keep shining your light, Adrienne. You're doing a great job, and much love to you. Best wishes on your book, and best wishes to you, and enjoying life and honoring your children. And is it okay? Can I dedicate this podcast to your children?
Yes, please. Kyler Bender.
Thank you. To Mackenzie and Kyler, I dedicate this podcast in their memory, and may their memories be a continuous blessing to you, Adrienne, and your family. Just choked up. I can't help it, folks. Okay. That's it for today, folks. This is Betsy Wurzel, your host of Chatting with Betsy on Passionate Wolf Talk Radio Network, a subsidiary of Global Media Network, LLC. Bye-bye for now.